new library. Let's check it out. Okay, you convinced me. By popular demand in this video, I'm going to be playing the new Albion Colossus from Spitfire. So I got quite a few messages from you asking me to do my usual walkthrough videos about the new Spitfire Albion Colossus library. This is a library that's supposed to be really big, cinematic, you know, great for trailer stuff and all these things. It's a massive library as well. It's over 100 gigs. So I'm going to try and play as many sounds as possible so that you know what you're getting if you decide to invest in this library. This library, of course, is very new, so I'm going to also be discovering things as we go along with you. This video is not sponsored, but if you want to support the channel, check out my instruments right here, the Modern 80s drum kit and the Apollo expansion for Patch Up. And if you really found this video useful and you like what I do, use the super thanks button. It's highly appreciated, but absolutely not necessary. So let's not waste any time. Let's start with the low strings. And yeah, the concept is that, you know, with this expression, you go from a chamber kind of sound to a full-blown orchestra kind of sound. So, okay, legatos. More like a chamber. And you know, the hype does this kind of lower octave thing here. Like an extra layer, so nice. Like these. I know I'm gonna get this question, so I'm going to say straight away what I'm going to be using here today is my mod wheel, of course, but I'm going to be using the Monogram CC to control all these parameters that you see right here, because this is extremely important for this library. So I have my mod wheel here, which is on my slider number 1. I also have this control, and with this one I'm going to be controlling more than anything else the hype, because this is a very important element of this library. I'm also going to be controlling the expression with the third slider. I know I'm going to get this question. It's a Monogram CC. I've done a video. I'm going to link it down below if you're interested. Okay, Bartok Pizzicatos. Yeah, it's a taste. Okay. Nice. Spiccatos now. Yeah, I would be careful when you use hype if you want to play fast things like this, because then you get a lot of low end and it's ringing. Hear that? So if you want to play fast, I would just remove the hype in this case, because it will give you a cleaner sound. This won't be manageable. Okay, it's very, very, you know, it builds up. But, you know, for something short and, you know, slow tempo, yeah, nice. Let it ring, it's fine. You know? I'm also going to give you some tips that come to my head while I'm playing this library. This is a good example to show you what this control, the hyper control, does. If I click on this dial here, you see we have quite a few things. We have hype, timing, filter, compress, reverb. I think you probably know what everything does, but I think the most interesting one in this case is the hype control. And this basically adds an extra layer, you know, it adds an extra layer, and I found that it does a different thing on pretty much every section, but more than anything else, it adds body, sometimes maybe an octave below. So that's really, really good. It's a good music production trick that you can do with this library. So Ponticello. Tremolos. So I have to say, I know that the name suggests big, epic, but I think this library is also capable of creating some really sensitive and sentimental sound. Now, let's move on to the high strings. Legatos, I'm really interested in these. It plays really nicely, no lag. Of course, you can't do fast things like trills and stuff like this. But you know, even dedicated string libraries cannot do this sometimes. It's well defined, you know, it has this like slight blurriness, but this is because of the section is so big. So one thing that I think this library is very good at is that you have a very simple way of adding more and more intensity to your arrangements, because you have all these things. You have the expression, you have the mode wheel, and then you also have this hyper control, and all these three add extra tension. You know, sometimes when you score something and you have a little bit of, you know, I wish I could go a little bit louder. Bartok Pizzicato. I mean, listen to how many layers we have here. I should change key. What am I doing? Let's do... Nice. Let's try the brass now. Now, the concept with Albion, like many other libraries on the market, is that it doesn't provide you with all the sections of the orchestra. So you won't find first violin, second violins, violas, cello, and all these things. You will find high strings and low strings. Now, this can be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. It depends on what you're trying to achieve with your libraries. I like both ways. I'm more of a, I want the individual sections kind of person. I like to have control over my violins, my violas. I want to be able to control my trumpets separate to the trombones and the bass trombones and so on and so forth. But sometimes when you want to create a powerful mock-up, these kinds of libraries can provide ease of use because they are very easy. And if you're not very good with orchestration, these are going to be better for you most likely because they will give you a ready-to-go sound rather than having to orchestrate every section on your own. The other reason why these libraries are useful is when you have limited time in your hands to compose something. This will give you a great sound straight out of the box, and you don't have to worry too much about orchestrating every, section of the orchestra. And the last reason why I like using libraries like Albion is when I want to add a certain orchestral element to a pop track, to a metal track, to, anything really, and it requires a big sound, and I only want like strings, high strings or low strings, and in this case, I don't want to load like a million instruments in Cubase in order to do this. So, in case you were wondering, I'm more of an individual sections guy, but you can't argue with these. They are very, very useful. I like what the Hyper does here. Makes them really beefy. One thing to note, and let me know if I'm wrong, in this section, in the brass section, there's no trumpets for this library, which I found quite peculiar, to be honest with you. I'm not sure why, but just so that you're aware, there are no trumpets. As far as I hear, it sounds like there are trombones. We have horns, of course, bass trombones, but definitely no trumpets. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments down below, by the way. I'm still checking this out. It's a very new library, right? So let's try the legatos. Gosh, the Hyper control does a lot of stuff here. I like that. Let's try out the horns. Woodwinds. Yeah, that's a nice surprise. Very, very full sound when you use a hyper in this one. I'm gonna play the legatos for the low registers as well. Yeah, these bass clarinets. Very agile as well. Let's try the flutes. I like that we have the flutes separate because the flutes are very, very important when it comes to the top end of the orchestra. So I'm glad we have a separate section and they're not in the high woodwinds, if that makes sense. Let's check out the hyper. Okay, legatos. I have to say, for this kind of library, like an all-in-one library with sections, the legatos are very, very playable. Piccolos. Staccatissimos, this will be very important. Now some percussion. Who called stomp? Let's try taikos. See, I'm adding the room here. Okay. Glockenspiel. I love this. I'm gonna play the guitars really quickly. I prefer to record real guitars myself, but, you know, they're there if you're not a guitarist. These are going to come in handy. Oh, wow, that's a lot of subs there. Dive bombs. Okay, these are really useful. Okay, this might not be the most detailed guitar library, but it doesn't have to be. It's not a dedicated guitar library. If you want to inject a little bit of fierce action with some guitars, they're there, and I appreciate this. Last but not least, let's try the Synths. Nice. So there you go, my friends. Here it is. This is the Albion Colossus from Spitfire, brand new library. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you found it useful. I hope now you have an idea of how this library sounds like. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe because I'm making a lot of these videos. I cover a lot of libraries and film composing stuff. If you really found this video useful and you want to support the channel, use the super thanks down below. And I'm gonna see you on the next one, my friends. Take care. Bye-bye.